Just making food in the background from the lovies. All right, nice. And that's the first thing that I've got on the recording, so that's a good start. All right, let's get into it. So I'm really excited for tonight's call. This is week 4 of the 6-week sprint with Dave and Irene. And I was chatting to Irene early this afternoon, only about 45 minutes ago. We got off a phone call just discussing what would be best to deliver for everybody tonight. And something stuck out for me last week in a big way when Dave said, and for those that are on the call will probably remember, you've got the dream with network marketing and then you've got the process. And it's like a lot of people can spend time up here. Some people don't even get up there, but the why, understanding the potential, that really getting it. But then there's the actual doing of the do. And so what we're going to do tonight is really delve into both of those, which is awesome, and how they come together to really explode your business. So the first thing I'd love you guys to touch on is just a little bit about, to say, for example, somebody's come into the business in the last, maybe they're pretty fresh in their first 30, 60 days, or maybe they've been in about a year. So they might have been to an event and they're maybe manager, or they're sitting at that level, but they're ready to go. I guess, where do you guys see Isagenix in the next couple of years, first of all? So it's a 2-part question, in Australia and internationally. And then off the back of that, why is it important to run now, in terms of like the moment where the time we're at the moment will never come again? So just touch on that for us before we get into the nitty gritty.
Well, I mean, this is probably the most exciting time for us, particularly, to be in Isagenix, because, you know, we have Australia up and running. You know, we're the number 1 direct sales company in Australia and New Zealand. We've moved over to the UK. I mean, the whole thing is amazing, and the market availability is going to be huge. I mean, we'll look at now this, it's pretty much exploded into the UK, with numbers, I think, far exceeding even the company expected. So, you know, that's only one country in the EU. We've yet to move into the other countries. And the exciting thing is, if you look at Australia, it's a very, very multicultural place. I mean, we have lots of English people, we have lots of maybe Polish people, we have lots of French people, we have lots of Italians, Germans, you name it, and they're there. And the opportunity now, we know that this is going to go into these markets. We know that Isagenix is going to be expanding into these markets in the next couple of years. Now's the time, guys, to have a look. Who do you know? Who do you know? Who do you know? Who do you know who's part of this multicultural race that we have in Australia? You know, who's German? You know, who's Italian? Who's Swedish? Who's Norwegian? All of these people now are people that you can approach, and you can say to these people, hey, something huge is happening in your homeland in the next couple of years, or the next 12 months, or however it may be, and we'd love to get you involved. And the great thing, you know, we've got German people who are now, you know, we're getting involved in Isagenix. And these people, we've said to them, guys, this is fantastic, because we talk with people about having a 12-month apprenticeship in Isagenix. And usually, if you bring somebody in Australia, they work in that 12-month apprenticeship while they're actually on the job, and you can still earn great money, you can still get healthy, you can still do all of these things. But with the people who are coming in throughout the EU, it gives them an absolutely fantastic opportunity to become professionals, to serve that 12-month apprenticeship, or part of that 12-month apprenticeship, while we're waiting for the country to come online. So the day that it happens, it's like, bang, I've done my apprenticeship. I've watched all the videos, I've listened to all the podcasts, I've read all the literature, I understand the products, I know what's involved in the products. You can do all of these things and prepare. And the other thing to think about is, as far as Australia goes, I mean, I don't know if you've heard this number, but in Australia, we have, I think it's 22 millionaires, we've got lots of platinums, and to be a platinum, it means that you're earning at least $13,500 US a week. You're an active platinum. We have all these. We're number 1 direct sales company. We've only introduced Isagenix to around 1% of the population. only 1% of the Australian population have been on an isogenics program. So, guys, you know, the diamonds are still there right in your backyard. You know, Australia is still in its very much infancy. And to coin a phrase I used to use a lot is, we haven't scratched the scratch. It's still there, available. And it's there for people to get out and work the opportunity.
And the little question from Al, is that active or ever been on it? Al, that's ever been introduced to it. And that's a really good point, because the last, you know, 2 of the last 3 people I've signed up had tried it 2 years ago and weren't supported. Yeah. So there are now 2 people in our business that were already part of that 1% that had tried it. So it's not like the people that have tried isogenics and didn't have a great experience, that's part of that 1% as well. So it's, yeah, the opportunity is still obviously just ridiculous.
So huge opportunity in Australia, huge opportunity in Europe, just starting in Europe. Man, you know, this is a really, really exciting time to be involved with isogenics over the next few years.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Beautiful. And then I guess in terms of linking that back to why now, and I guess it kind of goes on to like the compound effect of the work we do now will get paid on in, you know, 2 to 3 years to come. There's that lag effect like any business. So why now? Somebody listening to this now or sitting on the call and they're like, I kind of get it and I'm doing the things. What's the motivation for them to actually maybe put some other stuff aside and focus on this? And we use Exec as that benchmark and run to Exec now rather than cruise for a bit and do it in a year's time. Do you know what I mean? Like, why now?
Yeah. That's a lot of things. When you were talking about that, Tali, there's a whole head full of things that go through. You know, we talk about this is an opportunity that isn't going to come again. This is a company with products and the vision that everyone needs. You know, people need a couple of extra, even $100 a week, extra residual in their bank. People need to take control of their health. Families need collectively to take control of their health. So we've got everything that ticks every boxes, but it all still comes down to that people have got to be prepared for change. They've got to want to listen beyond looking at a box, beyond looking at the price. People need to be ready for this change. And, you know, and it's also like people have to be ready to say, right, I do deserve more out of life. You know, this so-called life of ours isn't really living. This isn't what I want for my family. So people have got to be ready to say, okay, I'm prepared to do something different in order to stand out. Because a lot of people, as you know, we all go along doing the same thing, so we all end up the same way. Stressed, not enough money, not living a life fulfilling your goals, your why. We're existing within the background of a slight inkling of what we would like to be doing. Whereas here comes an opportunity that is going to give you everything and above. But it's at the end of the day is, what are you prepared to do in order to have it? Are you prepared to feel slightly uncomfortable, getting out of your uncomfortable zone and coming back from David Wood? You would know exactly what that means, okay? Nothing happens unless you're uncomfortable. When your heart is racing, that is, people can say it's being nervous, but the same feeling of being nervous is the same feeling of being excited. And that's when something happens. If you're not feeling that way, that means you're flatline. And that's not good. It means your today is going to be exactly like a day like yesterday. And that's not good. You need to feel like something, like you're jumping out of your skin, like your heart is in your throat for something exciting to come your way. You to be open to knowing This is excitement. So you've got to be ready for that change. So we can say to people, what's going to be different in the next 30 or 60 days? It's all going to be on attitude and what you're prepared to do in order to get there. Mm-hmm. One thing I promise you, that the next 2 months will pass. So you can either be sitting exactly where you are, wearing exactly what you're doing, thinking of the same thoughts, wishing the same wishes, or are you going to be somewhere totally different and think, I can't believe we did that. This is incredible. I can really see this now. It's entirely up to the individual. We can give you the tools, but it's like Sarah said, it comes at the right time. When you're ready, you will see it. Mm. Sometimes some of you might be sitting there and thinking, I've heard it before, but, I'm really busy. I'm really earning good money. Well, maybe it's just not your time yet. The urgency is not there. Mm-hmm. Whereas we're talking about people who want extraordinary lives, who are going to get out of that bucket of where people are dragged down and are going to do something exceptional because you're worth it. Every one of you are worth it. You've just got to unlock it and you've got to be prepared to use those muscles to do that catapult. Mm-hmm. And you've all got it. Mm-hmm. If we did it, you can do it. And you're a lot younger than us. You understand?
Yeah. And one word that just stuck out for me there was urgency. So you guys have created 7. How many execs have you guys helped create?
9 crystal execs.
So 9 crystal execs you guys have created. So the word that just stuck out for me then when you were speaking in terms of if people want to get to exec, urgency would be the first place to start.
Urgency, exactly. That's why crystal exec, they give you 6 months and then they do have a reset because doing it is with urgency. I remember, and without any question or doubt, in those early days, we used to get calls from Kathy Coover, like once a month when we were starting. And I mean, things that she said to me, I remember specifically where I was standing, she's saying, Irene, do it with urgency. Do it with urgency because the speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. And the same thing. So how you do go along and do things, your team will do things. Mm-hmm. And, when a pot is boiling, it's fantastic, it's exciting, but you keep it boiling and boiling and boiling and suddenly it's going to go dry. You want to create that excitement. You want people to go from associate from a customer to an associate to, a manager to etc., to a consultant, a manager, director, because it gives excitement. Mm. Sometimes when people are at one level for a while, they feel suddenly it's getting a bit tough. It's not tough. The same thing of duplication in the beginning is the same thing months down, but because they've been there for too long, the head starts talking them out of it, saying, maybe it's not for you. Maybe it is too hard. It's not too hard. Not having it is too hard. Not having that extra $100 hitting your bank account, that's too hard. The do is not too hard. It's just the do. It's the same thing as when you became a customer to an associate, to a consultant. That's it. It's just duplicate. You've just got to understand. It's like people say peeling off a Band-Aid. You're either going to do it slow and feel every pain or zhish, and you don't feel the pain. That's why we talk about the sprint, because the sprint is exciting. Mm-hmm. And understand that along the way, why we talk about executive and why the importance of executive, and it's not even the status, it's the journey. It's the highs, the lows, the disappointment, the exhilaration, it's everything else. That is preparing you for entrepreneurship, because that is what you've got to understand. Is you understand the people that you think are with you, that's going to be with your disappointment. The people that you don't assume, so you learn all these things while you're building to executive. It's preparing you for being an incredible CEO of a multi-billion-dollar business. That's why I keep on saying executive, executive, run for executive, crystal executive. Don't leave it behind. Because when you're there and your team is going for executive, you can say, yeah, I know, I've been there. A good friend of mine, oh no, they stopped ordering. Yeah, I know. Don't worry, keep going. If you haven't been through it, you can't sympathize and empathize with your empire. And you need to know what it feels like to be battered and bruised and scarred. And at the end of the day, you're a warrior. You're a warrior. You've achieved it. So go, team. Go. Don't leave it. Don't go first. You have to go first. In order to duplicate, you need to go first.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And let's talk about the do is the do. So let's talk about, like, say if I've come to you like I did on the call this morning, and it's like, I'm going to exec. What do I do? Because we can get excited, especially after an event. You can have this post-event high, and then you're like, all right, I'm ready. But it's like an unglorified, numbers-based, like, what does it actually take in terms of, map out a 3-month period? How many people do we need to speak to? Obviously, it's you plus 2, them plus 2, 5 times. But what does that look like? And I think back, we were chatting about this earlier, Irene, like back when I sort of got started and when momentum was really going, each person doing 2 launch parties a week wasn't uncommon. And that's the kind of thing it takes to sort of get people's businesses into momentum. So I guess let's strip away any fluff and get to the reality of what it actually takes, what doing the do actually looks like if you want to hit exec.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Dave's going to go through some numbers with you, but once again, mindset. We talked about this mindset, so you've got to be prepared to do. Now, think about, Talia and I were talking about this. Lawyers have got, when they step into that office, in order for them to get paid what they get paid, what they have to do, they have to bill every 5 to 6 minutes, we said, didn't we, Talia?
Yeah.
Talia's, yeah, sorry. Yeah, they have to bill. So they go in, they start with stress because they have to be billing people every 5 to 6 minutes. Okay, so for them to be running down the high street in the heels, and this is what they've got to do. Anyone that goes into any profession, they have got a job description of what they've got to do. They've got to learn what they've got to do in order for them to get the pay pack at the end of that week or the end of that month. So they've got to speak to X amount of people. They've got to have a productivity. They've got to show a growth in their business. They've got budgets to meet. Okay, this is everyone. This is what people live with in jobs. They've got a budget to show. They've got productivity to show. They've got to show that the sales of that industry are going up. Otherwise, you don't have a job by the end of the month. You're going to be replaced. The same thing, you've got to think, have that mindset. The fact that we can all be here in different, pajamas and whatever, eating while we're talking and whatever, looking after grandchildren, storing, cooking dinner, is because we have broken that mold and we are doing it our way, having time freedom. But how serious are you with this business? What are your actions that only you can address to really getting you to where you're going? We've got Heather Rickard and Heather and Neil Rickard. I know they're muted, but I know what they did in order to break all the boundaries when in their first week in the UK. I know their why, and I know how they absolutely broke all the boundaries to go something like, excuse me if I'm wrong, guys, but something like from a 1-star to a 3-star. So it's your actions and what you're prepared to do. It's your mindset. You've got to say, this is what I want, and this is what we're saying. 2 launch parties a week is nothing. is nothing. You can have them in the morning, you can have them in the afternoon, you do them around your family time. You really should be doing, collectively as a team, you should be doing one launch party each a week. You should be having at least 7 a week. Quite honestly, if you want to break the boundaries. 2 is only 2 hours work. 2 is only 2 hours work. You know, once again, Jim Rohn says, you're better off, instead of doing 100% of everything yourself, you're better having 100 people doing 1%. This is what we talk about, residual leveraging. So we're going to say, okay, Paul and Sarah have got a launch party on this week. You know, Ria and Rob have got one on this week. Talia's got one on. Vib and Laura have got one. Laura have got one on. Alice have got one on. This is what, and where are you? Where are your place? So you plug everyone into those launch parties. That's how we talk about leverage. That's how we're going. What are you doing? What does your day look like? How many Zoom calls? Fortunately, with Zoom, you can do Zoom launches. See how great they are? Zoom launches. It's exactly the same. And so what are you prepared to do? What excuses do you face up when you're making excuses? Oh, I can't tonight because, really? How does that show up for you? Think about it. This is such a compounding business. What you do now will reward you for the rest of your life. This isn't somebody that is going to say, okay, you didn't quite meet the scratch. You're still sitting at manager for almost 12 months. You've got to go. No, that's what an industry would do. They wait for you. So how are you going to show? Are you going to commit to getting to exec as fast as possible? Seriously? Feeling the strain? And then how many execs are you going to help create? And in what time frame are you going to do it? Non-negotiable. You know, you're going to have some sleepless nights, but you know what? Doesn't matter, because you'll sleep at the end of it. And you'll sleep with an absolute peace to know that you're just having $2,000 being landed into your bank account. And when that happens, yeah, smile, everyone. It does. We used to dream about that. We used to say, imagine when we hit $2,000 a week. Everyone's going to want to know you when you've got that residual. You know, everything is possible when you've got that residual. You can go to the bank, you can go, anyone wants to know you. What are you doing? And it's not far away. But you've just got to be prepared to do the do. And you've got to expect to get some stretch marks out of it.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
You going to say that?
Well, I mean, something Irene said earlier on as well is really important here, and that's the speed of the leader, speed of the pack, because, you know, we've seen that over the years, over the past 10 years, and we see that as just massive, because your group will follow you and, you know, they'll give you energy for energy. You know, if there's no energy coming from the leader of the pack, then guess what? There's no energy coming from the pack. And people will follow you. You're looking to duplicate your efforts through people. So you need to show people that you're serious in your efforts and serious what you're doing. I mean, Tolly asked earlier, you know, what sort of numbers are you looking at to get to executive or to sponsor people? And that's really hard because everybody's numbers are different. The industry sort of accepted average, a bit hairy-fairy, but it's 3 out of 10. So in other words, you approach 10 people to sponsor 3 people. But there's a lot of, you know, around that number, there's a lot of factors. One of the major factors is people's posture, and the other factor is their knowledge of what's going on and experience in what you're doing. So, you know, when I very first started in direct sales, I started door knocking with a company. I was selling arena wear door to door. And on day one, I went out and found very quickly that I had to knock on 200 doors to get 200 doors to see 50 people to get 4 appointments to make 1 sale. And so as I went out every day from there on in, it was knock on 200 doors equals 1 sale. Now, that was great. I mean, I was earning really good money doing that. But what happened over a period of time is my skill level increased. And it increased to such an extent that I started having to knock on 50 doors to make 1 sale. So 50 doors to get the appointments to make 1 sale. And all this was down to was just increasing my knowledge, increasing my sales knowledge, increasing, because I've never been a salesman before that. So I really studied the industry. I read every sales book I could get my hand on. I read all information. I listened to tapes. I watched videos. I did everything I could to increase my knowledge and skill level. And this is no different. This is absolutely no different than that. The more that you increase your skill level, the more that you become a professional in this profession, the more success that you're going to have. And just having all that extra knowledge and experience will give you the posture when you're talking to people, you know, the posture and the confidence. And people see that, people sense that. You know, it's no use going into this with timidity. You need to go into this as a powerful, strong person with huge posture and get people to notice you and tell them that you're on the journey of a lifetime. Again, something that Irene touched on earlier, and we've done this in a lot of our meetings, is we say we were on a 5-year plan. And I'll tell you what, you know, at the end of that 5 years, we'd reached every goal that we put in place. But for other people who didn't come on the journey, that 5 years passed anyway. You know, it went from 2007 when we joined, you know, that 5 years went to 2012 for everybody, but at least we'd done something with our 5 years. We really put major effort in. And in the first 90 days, we didn't have a 90-day game plan in those days, but without even understanding it or realising it, we did a 90-day game plan. We put in place targets and goals for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, 5 year. We put those goals in place. And those were our dreams and things that we were really aspired to. You know, and a dream at the end of the day is a goal with a time limit. And that's exactly what we did. We put our dreams in place and gave them a time limit. So we knew that was our goal, and we knew what we had to do to reach those goals. And we worked diligently. And in that first 90 days, we went absolutely hell for leather. We contacted everybody. We spoke to everybody. We were on the website all the time. We were watching videos all the time. We were reading all the literature. We were trying to understand the compensation plan. It didn't make sense to us at all at first. like riding a bike.
Still paid you though.
One day just clicked. We said, oh, wow, okay. And it's like riding a bike. Once you understand it, you'll understand it forever. But it was like clouded in fog. You just, you know, what does this do? How does that work? What's this 1/3, 2/3 business? Just understanding it and studying it, when we could then confidently stand in front of people and say, this is how the compensation plan works. And there are people who have worked hard but are earning millions of dollars from this exact compensation plan that we're now offering to you. So with that, you know, that first 90 days, we really went hell for leather. We put the foundations down in that first 90 days. We put the foundations down to build a financial fortress around our family forever.
Yeah, in 90 days.
That's really important.
And
so the numbers that you need, you know, how many people, what percentage of people you talk to will come on board, that varies. So I couldn't even give you a number because it varies so much from person to person. It all comes down to your skill, to your attitude, to your posture, to your knowledge of business, the knowledge of the compensation plan, to the knowledge of the products. But the great thing is, as was with me in my first sales job, you will find that number, whatever it is, and we're talking about law of averages here, if when on day one when you start off, if you find that your average is 1 out of 10, that you speak to 10 people and one person comes on board, I absolutely guarantee you that as you go on your journey, if you really dedicate yourself to this as a profession and become a professional within this profession, that number will increase massively. Mm-hmm. And if it's 3 out of 10, which is, sort of the industry, what they tout as the industry average, hey, that will rock it too. Mm-hmm. And the great thing about this business is if you're in a competition and there's a real hotshot there who gets, 10 out of 10 people they talk to, they're Mr. Wonderful, and you're getting 1 out of 10, and they speak to 10 people in the month of the competition and sign 10 people up, guess what? You can still win that competition. You speak to 110 people.
Yeah.
You won the competition.
Yeah.
So, guys,
I love it. And I think
a lot of it comes down to you. It's what you do, how you do it, and how much dedication you're prepared to give to this industry.
And I think it's the biggest thing I'm taking out of that is learning and doing with urgency. Michael Klaus talks about the left foot, the right foot activity. If you're only doing one, so doing, learning, if you're only doing one, you're just going to walk in circles. So to go out and just speak to people all day, every day without learning and increasing your skill set isn't going to get you anywhere fast either. And just sitting at home reading a book won't either. So it's that setting yourself a timeline. And I think that's the thing that I think is important to highlight is if people are sitting on this call and they've got either they're just coming in so they don't have any consultants personally enrolled, or they might have up to sort of 3 or 4. It's like that. I know like we're finishing up a 6-week sprint, but it's like the reality of it is you want to map out your next 3 months, your next 90 days and be learning and doing with urgency until. And I think using the numbers that you've said is quite as a benchmark is really good because it can create that context for people. Because when I came in, if somebody didn't tell me 3 out of 10 or 1 out of 10, I would have been really upset with 2 out of 20. But knowing that that's the normal creates, so if you are new, it's like, so if you write a list of 50 people to speak to and expect that to get you to exec, then there's probably a mismatch there. So just take an average of sort of that 2, map it out, get your list of people. And then I think it's like, figure out how you're going to speak to them. And then we've gone through that. So it's online launches, one-on-one catch-ups, using 3-way calls, using all the stuff we've done, and especially those guys that have just been to UIA. You guys have just gone through all those simple steps. So it'd be good to get a summarization of that at some point. But that's kind of really what I've taken away from that. It's the learning and doing with urgency and a time frame and going until.
And sorry, just, one thing on top of that, if the guys on the call or the guys that watch this recording, if you haven't got mapped out how many people you intend to speak to, in the next week, in the next month, in the next 90 days, and so on and so forth, if you haven't got that same timeline for where you want to be, what your goals are, what you want to achieve, where the levels are, where your earning levels are, where your where your ranking is going to be, what rank you're aiming for. If you haven't got all those mapped out and put down with a goal to aim at, if you haven't got a goal to aim at, it's very hard to hit the goal.
Yeah, definitely.
It is. It's very, very important. Very, very important, because where you want to be, if you're very clear, the action step is really easy. And, we talk about the skills, anything. You need skills for anything. To be a pool player, you're not going to be just get up and start hitting a ball and snook every time. These people are masters because they do it over and over and over and over again. They play, they're on that table over and over and over again. To ride a bicycle, to do anything, to be a master bricklayer, it's a skill. Mm-hmm. And this is a skill. It's just the only thing is nobody's looking over your shoulder to say, you know what, you said you'd make 5 calls today and you haven't. And you think, but you know what, deep down you're going to feel a little bit guilty and you think, I'll do it tomorrow. And that's a good mindset. That's not a good mindset, because if you've done it once, you'll do it again. You've got to remember it takes 30 days to create a habit. 30 days. So you've got to make yourself do it every day to push those boundaries so that on the 31st day, it's an automatic given. It's an automatic given that what you're going to do. It's like people going to the gym. After a while, if you don't go to the gym, you feel really yuck, you feel guilty, you feel horrible, etc., because you've got yourself into a pattern. You've got to make this, and you've got to be honest with yourself. How serious are you about changing your life? How serious are you about changing your family's life? How serious are you about, making an impact on the world? And really, how serious are you about being part of the vision, changing people's lives, if you don't make that call? Once again, going back to the 4 agreements, being honest with your word, being impeccable with your word. We say we want to help people, but sometimes you can't be bothered making that call or speaking to someone. Think about it.
Yeah.
And once again, how easy it is not to have a launch party. But if you really care about people, you're going to get yourself out of the way and you're going to invite people to a launch party. And 3 people that turn up, and I think it was on our call on Thursday with Sarah and Paul, 3 people turned up at the launch party and 3 people signed up. Because I say you might invite 10, but only 2 sign up. But you know what? They were the 2 you're going to talk to anyway. The others because they wanted, to try some products or hang out with friends. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
I mean, one thing on that is over the years, we've had lots of different kinds of events and meetings and all sorts of things. And sometimes we had nobody show up.
That's right.
0. Nobody fronted up. But we had one rule, whether 1 person showed up or 2 people showed up or no people showed up, our thoughts and our energy was always with the people that showed up, not with the people that didn't show up.
Yeah.
And that's just part of the game,
That's
part of life. It's just how it is.
But even say, for example, on the call tonight, I mean, sometimes we've got 3 or 4 screens. I know David would, but there's some, regardless, are the ones that show up. It's the 80-20 rule. You see? It's just the way it is. Don't try to figure it out. As Jim Rohn would say, just don't take that class. Don't try to work out why people do what they do. Don't take that class. It is what it is.
And be aware and recognise people in your team. The people that you should be working with, I look at the screen, these are the guys I should be working with because they're the guys that show up. They're the guys that put the hand up. They're the guys that make a noise. They're the people that are there, who are obviously interested. They're the people that have gone onto the call. These are the guys where the effort should go to. And, it's a very simple thing, but that's just how it is. You can, the people that phone you up, the people that email you, the people that are asking you lots of questions, these are the guys you need to spend your effort and time with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And just on that, he was saying, in a job, you've got somebody looking over your shoulder. So you normally do all of your work when you're in a job, but as soon as you get the freedom, I guess, it becomes another question. Did you notice a thread? So you've created 9 execs. I guess there's 2 questions. Was there a common thread between them? And then while you're thinking about that, the importance of accountability when you're running for exec. Would you just get accountability with your sponsor? I know a lot of people talk about cross-line accountability. Like, what have you seen work really well in your guys' experience?
Do you know, we've seen accountability. Some people are, I'm just thinking of our leaders, and we've got a lot. And some of them are happy. They're happy to go and do it themselves. They're happy to go into the back office before you even know it. They've really summed it up. They've listened to the podcast. Some people you have to steer and show them what is where, what is what. Everyone's different. And I always ask the question, how do people like being contacted? Some people may not want to be on newsletter, some people want to be contacted by text. So this is what you've got to do, is just identifying how people may say, can I be accountable to you? And I'll say, absolutely. You know, and you know, sort of we're doing that together at the moment, Tully. So it all depends. It all depends what people want. People are in this industry because they want to break away from being told what to do. So there might be the odd week when they first start that you think, my gosh, okay, but you've got to give them some slack. They want to know what it feels like to be on the beach all day without wearing a watch. And that's fine because, you know, in those industries, when you're looked over your shoulder and you leave that place, you have an element of resentment the older you get. You may not be getting appreciated, so you go home with a lot of stuff and you've got family around you and you're carrying that stuff. Now you're suddenly, it's like opening the window and you're breathing air for the very first time. And it might take a while, but you've got to keep a check on it. You don't want it to be in that lumbar area for too long. Give yourself 2 weeks or whatever to think, okay, this is time freedom, but now I've got a bigger picture. And you start modeling how you're going to run your empire, what type of people you're looking forward to attracting. You know, so you've got to think of all those things, and you know, and once again, when you map out and you go to the events and you know exactly where you're heading, then you put a time frame on it. You put a time frame on it. You know, we gave it a 5-year, only because we never knew that there was more. We never thought you could hit a millionaire in 2 years. I wonder if we had have done that. But it was a 3 to 5 year. So our first celebration in Vegas, the Dead Broke, 5 years celebration in Vegas, which happened to be 5 years later, we were the first international millionaires. You see?
But we had a goal. We had a goal that we were just absolutely focused on and get, you know. And through all of that, you know, our why, the reason for doing all of this, our why was always far, far bigger than our why not. Massively bigger. The why not never really came into it with us. We were just going to move forward no matter what happened. And that was really important, wasn't it? That we just kept
laser focus.
But the thing also to remember, this is really important as well, is that, you know, the whole Isogenics family, everybody in Isogenics is a volunteer. You know, they're not workers. We don't employ them. We don't pay them a wage. We don't pay them superannuation, or we don't pay them holiday pay or any of that sort of thing. They're all volunteers. So as volunteers, they're going to stay as long as they're motivated to stay by their reason why they're doing this. And this is so important, your leaders and your people, is to get with them and find out what their why really is and make that huge for them. You know, what do they really want to achieve? What do they really want to do? What's the thing that's driving them? You know, what's going to get them out of bed every morning thinking, you know, what am I going to do with Isogenics today? You know, what income-producing activities am I going to do today? And get on it and do it. Because like I said, these guys are volunteers. It's only the excitement of the dreams that you and they put in place that's going to keep them moving forward and achieve massively. And we've seen this in our group. It's the people that have that why, that massive reason why they want to do it, and hold that reason in place to succeed. And a lot of the people haven't succeeded straight away. Some people have gone up and down. Some people have actually left and come back and then became millionaires. We've seen that in a couple of occasions, you know, because they rediscovered the reasons.
That's right.
You know, gone out into the world and found, hey, there's nothing I can see that's available to me that can do what Isogenics could do for me.
And
massive.
It's everyone's journey at a different time, but if you know why, you know, don't keep that wound open forever. Just get to work, you know, and most definitely.
And I'm sure you guys would have done this at David Wood. But it is vitally important that when you bring new people into this business, you sit down with them and find out the real reason why they want to do this, why it is so important for them, and then work together on making that why, that dream come true.
Mm-hmm. And that goes just for the people that maybe just want to, in terms of getting to exec, that might be somebody just getting their products a discount on the next auto ship, and you do that for 10 people on your exec. Yeah.
You know, whatever the level is, that's true. If somebody just wants to get their products paid for, then we sit down and put goals in place to show them they can get their products for free. So whatever level it is, it's pretty much the same process of sitting down and working out with them goals and targets and to make their aspirations come true at whatever level that they choose.
You know, because sometimes it's when you ask somebody about their why, and the older the person is, they're more entrenched in believing that their burning desire, they're never going to achieve it. So you may ask somebody their why, and deep down, they really don't know. And it takes a while for people to uncover it. So it might start with their product. And then, you know, as they evolve into, we talk about, you know, the $100 or the $500 a week, their possibilities, the walls start crumbling and they see more of a possibility. And it might take them that while to realize, you know, wow, this is possible. Just like our picture behind us, you know, that was just a dream pie in the sky. And but we've all got it. We've all got it. We've all got it. There is some great reason in each and every one of us. So I urge you to work on it and put a plan in place. And I know that with Paul and Sarah, we've talked about that. And our goal is for Paul to spend this Christmas with his family instead of working. Christmas. Paul's in the task force, aren't you, Paul? Very dangerous job. And the whole idea is for him this Christmas to be with his beautiful children and wife instead of being away for Christmas and New Year. And that's, you know, and it still makes me cry because they're such an amazing couple and they just deserve so much. So that's what we've got to do. You have a small plan with a bigger picture.
Fantastic. And then now, that's good. Now, this week, so we're on here, we're all like, yep, we're going to exec. What's a challenge to set for us this week, knowing that that's the end goal and the time frame? Like, get off and speak to your accountability or your sponsor and map out a time that's realistic for you. But regardless of the time frame, what's a challenge for us this week with the end goal being exec? What would you have? I'm coming to you. What do I do first? What do I do this week? What would set me up?
Well, I know that when the lovies ran the call and they asked for a stretch, we said sponsoring 2 and rank advancing 3. We never covered that last week. And I know that was for Tully for the next month. You know, let's say next week. Let's do it for next week, okay? And then next week we're going to set another one for the following week. So we've got, and by next Monday, I'm going to say stretch. We start talking about stretch. So once again, we're going to say sponsoring 3.
Sponsor 3.
Yeah. Rank advance 2. You know, if you fall short, it doesn't matter. But that's the stretch. Rank advance 3. No, sponsor 3, rank advance 2.
Gotcha. Done. Everyone on the call, if you're committed to that, chuck a yes in the chat box and give me a thumbs up, just because I like seeing them. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Yeah, love it. You're going to have to give us the double, Rhea, because Lovey's not there. Yeah, and shake him. He's in the background. Hey, Lovey. Beautiful. Yeah. Thumbs up all around.
There was one question, Tolly, about that 1% figure I gave. And that 1%, you might have clarified it at the time, but it was 1% of people have been exposed and been on an isogenics program.
Yeah.
Not active, right?
Not active. And there's a lot of people that have been sponsored and not looked after. Like, and because we've got a culture that does support people and get results, will be a magnet for them. So definitely, if you haven't, in your conscious creation of who you're bringing into the business, it's like put out for that as well, because they've already been sold into it once. They just weren't supported properly. So that's like the two that I've enrolled have done really well, and they've used it before, but just weren't supported properly.
That's a fantastic comment, and so true, as you are going to trip across people like that. And it's just ensure them that, hey, you actually want to link arms with them and do this together.
And do it properly. Yeah,
do it properly. Do it together.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap it up there. So everybody, you can unmute yourselves and just give Dave and Irene a bit of love. That was a heated call. That was awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Irene and Dave.
Thank you, Laurie. Thank you, David. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.